Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Wednesday, the 21st of May. Can you believe it? So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I thought we'd talk about the flow and what is the flow in the repair shop. Hang tight. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Wednesday, the 21st of May. As you can see, I'm feeling a little bit more chipper today. Had a few setbacks. Cardiac, I'm back on the monitor. Blood pressure was spiking. And it is what it is, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, right, Jason? So, what are we talking about when we talk about flow? I'm talking about the minute the machine shows up to the minute the machine leaves. What do you have for flow when it comes to getting stuff in and out? Now, for me, anyways, if you're going to ask me what is the best flow, I'm going to tell you whatever way it is for you to get the machines in and out as quickly as possible and have them be 100%. I know we're only human. We aren't going to catch everything. But you need to take the time to really look it over from front to back while you're doing the service on it. And that's greasing, checking the steering to see if the steering is hard to turn. If there's any clinks in it, where the steering starts getting screwed up. The deck is very important. The drive belts are very important. I know of two flows that we have in the shop. And both flows are whatever way is easiest for us to get stuff out. And while we're waiting for something else. But the first flow is you bring in the first machine, you start to tear it down, you figure out what it needs for parts, get the parts ordered, you're as far as you can get, right? So you go on to the second machine. You do the same thing. You do a tear down on it, find out what parts it needs, or do a complete service on it. Let's say you have all the parts in, you do a complete service on it from front to back, it's ready to go, park it out in the ready to go home column. Take the next one. What you're going to end up doing is first in, first out, but it's going to be based on if you have everything in stock. And you cannot stock every part that you're ever going to think you're going to need, right? And most customers are okay with 3 to 4 days. And that's about the average that it takes to get parts in. Unless you're dealing on eBay, and sometimes you're talking 2 weeks out. Customer's going to get hot and irate. So what I started doing a while back was, for the parts that I need in a couple days, like blades and miscellaneous like that, I order right through our aftermarket company, Rotary, is where I spend most of my money. With them, I have it here the next day. It's the next night. But usually, because UPS doesn't deliver to us until around 2:30 to 5:30 at night, and we close the doors at 3. So with them, I can order it, put an order together this morning, and I'll have it here tomorrow night. And that way I keep the flow. And I can't stock every belt, and I can't stock every mower blade. I already know that. But if you got a machine that's coming in clean, of where all the belts are good, the air filter can be blown out, I got it covered. Because I do stock plenty of oils, synthetic, 10W30. I stock a lot of the oil filters. There's 3 major ones that you need to have in stock. And this is where you can kind of, if you look at a Briggs and a Kohler oil filter, you're going to find that the hole is the same size. The filter is the same size. The only difference is if you're buying OEM, one's going to say Kohler, one's going to say Briggs. They even do it with the aftermarket companies. If you look, Jason, fill me in if I'm saying something wrong. But even with Rotary, they have a case of Kohlers and a case of Briggses. And with Briggs, you get two different flavors. You get the small, and then you get the big. Well, the big looks just like the Kohler. And Claude tells me that it doesn't matter. All three, the three all will fit on either machine. But I stock. The only difference is Honda, Kawasaki, John Deere's are the small ones. But I stock all of them. I stock all the spark plugs. I stock all the fuel filters because we use one. And I can give you a part number on that one too. But that works on every frickin' lawnmower that comes through here. See, it used to be you had to be careful because no filter was built the same. It was based on microns. And if you put one on a John Deere that didn't have enough microns, that sucker would not run. It would give you fits. It would give you fuel issues every frickin' time. But we found this filter through Rotary that we found that you could throw onto anything and it would work. So we've continued using that filter on everything. You know, you got the small ones too that they used to use for the old single cylinders. We had those in stock. And if a customer wants to come in and buy one, that's fine. But we throw, if it comes through us for a regular service, what we tend to do is if I don't see a fuel shut off, either on the tank or in the line, and it's got one of them chintzy fuel filters, I take and I put in a fuel shutoff in line, and then I put the filter on the other side of it. So when it comes back to us next year, I can simply shut the fuel off, replace the filter, put it back together, turn the fuel back on, abracadabra, we're off and going, right? But I'm stocking probably around 90% of the stuff. The common belts I have in stock. The common air filters for the Kohler and Briggs I have in stock. If you're trying to run a lean machine where you're not going to have to worry about any new old stock, then buy it as you need it. There's nothing wrong with that. But you need to have a supplier that's going to have it to you within a couple days so that you can get it through the shop. So that brings us back to flow. So now you go on to the third machine, the fourth machine, the fifth machine. You see what I'm saying? But you have to remember where you stopped on number one and what it needs. And what works for me is I buy these little notepads. And I'll start off with machine one, chainsaw. You know, and then because I have, when a customer brings something in, I've got tags that I bought from Rotary that have wire coming off from it that I can put it right onto a chainsaw. And I put the person's name and it's got a tag number. So I take the tag number and the name and I put it in my notepad. And this is where I'm at, waiting on blah. Everything else is done. I even thought about trying to figure out if I could find a supplier that could make me notepads with all the check boxes that I needed to check to say where I was on it. Okay, so that's one flow. You're always turning a wrench on something. The second flow that we use at the shop, and that's usually on the bigger stuff, all right? Because what we'd end up doing is, like on Monday, we spent all day doing a little bit on each one of them. And at the end of the day, there wasn't anything ready to go. And you're saying, well, why didn't you just start on one and finish it and then go to the next and finish it? Because it was one of those days where we had to put the axle back together on the New Holland. And Claude had to put all those parts together that we got in, what day was that? Come in Monday. But, come in Friday. So we had the parts in Friday afternoon after we closed. So Monday, that's the first thing he started on, was starting to get all the bearings and everything else back into the hub to replace on the New Holland. And while he was working on that, I worked on a weed trimmer and ended up the crap on the high-speed jet and the needles. So I took both of them out, blew it out with a carb cleaner, cleaned the tips, put it back in, brought it out to 1.25 turn, got it started, and as I was revving it up, it would go into that kind of where it wanted to die. So I adjusted the high-speed jet until she was purring like a kitten. So that one I got done and set aside. The other one I started, and it ended up needing I'm not sure, Jason, maybe you could tell me what it is, but it's in a steel. It's in the gas tank, and it's like a return line vent type thing. It's a one-way where it can go in, but it can't come out of the gas tank. They end up, it popped apart, snapped or something, and it was leaking fuel like crazy, and it shouldn't have allowed it to come back anyways. So $14 later, they give me the one to put in it, and it's the wrong one. It's the one that you have tucked on your chainsaws and stuff. That's actually basically it's a fuel tank vent that allows the fumes out. So I had to set that down and stop because I didn't have the part. So I went outside to help Claude with what he was doing. And while he got the Mahindra back together and was over trying to work on the Ford New Holland. Well, the Mahindra needed fuel, but needed 90 weight now in the front axle. So we didn't have only just about a gallon left. Could we get it by the 2.5 gallon jugs? So I topped the Mahindra off and then parked it on a downhill slant to make sure that it would seep and flow to the one axle that we had just had out, and parked that for the night. I started changing the oil on the Ford New Holland because it was here for a complete service. So I drained the oil, replaced the oil filter, put the plug back in, jumped over to the hydraulics, drained the hydraulics, took the 2 hydraulic filters off, the primary and secondary, replaced those, went ahead, put the new inner and outer air filter. Customer supplied all the filters, and he wanted a complete service. We added a gallon of antifreeze, which it should never have needed a gallon, but it took a gallon to get it up to the ad mark, to the full mark. While Claude was working on trying to get it started again, because he changed the fuel filter and he didn't fill the bowl because he said that it had to tip and then go up in, so it couldn't get it full. And we got that started yesterday. But again, that's what I'm talking about, flow. We didn't get only one piece of equipment out for the day on Monday, and that was the trimmer. But we got a lot done, but we didn't concentrate on just one machine. We were kind of bouncing all over the place, right? Because I jumped over and we put the deck on the Husqvarna and got that all greased up and made sure everything was looking good on that. And then yesterday morning when we got there, one of the front tires on that machine started going soft. So that's got to come off. I think what you said, Jason, is one of the most important things. If it's going to fail, have it fail with you with the shop. The last thing you want is to send that on its way and then have the customer have problems with it. And you can't, when you're approaching repairs on it, you need to approach it with a nitwit needs to be able to start and drive this. That means no toggling, no shortcuts, no cheaters. that somebody more advanced level could handle. You need to have it the way it was built, and that is the choke working the way it is without using carb cleaner. And we ran into that with, I told a gal her machine was all ready, I was going to drop it off later that day. She gave me her credit card number, ran it, paid for the bill, and then that machine didn't want to start, cold start. So Claude spent yesterday draining the fuel out of it, draining the fuel out of the carburetor, and he was running into issues with not getting fuel to the spark plug. But if you give her a little touch of carb cleaner, it would pick it up. The compression on the engine was around 85, 90, so it should run. And what I explained to him yesterday, because we have an hour and a half to visit all the way to my cardiac rehab, and then we have an hour and a half coming back, and then I'm in there for an hour and a half. So Claude has to fill me in on what went on in the parking lot while I was inside. He has some doozy stories, the stories from the parking lot. But the key is whatever flow works for you. The key to me is what's it going to take to get the machines in and out in a good flow so that the customer is not waiting weeks for it. Has a couple of days, get it in, get it out, do a couple cold starts on it to make sure it's not going to be an issue. And don't say, well, I sent a can of carb cleaner home with the owner because that's the only way I can figure out how to start it. Well, you need to figure a little deeper because like with that Troy-Bilt, if it's not starting on choke and you've only got 80 to 90 psi for compression, check the valves. See if the valves need just a little tweaking to bring that up a little higher so it can pick up the fuel faster. And I think that will solve the problem. But like Claude was saying, now that's going to take us time to take the cover off and then have access to the valve cover with the top plastic to get at it. I said on our trip to Messina, I said, all right, we'll take it off. I don't want to send it back to her this way. She needs to be able to start it. And he said, well, what do we do? Add to the bill and then just run her card again? I said, no. She paid for it. It's on us. We said it was ready. So we need to get it fixed the right way today of adjusting the valves to bring it up so that it will start running drive. And then we will deliver it today once that's done. But we're not going to deliver it with giving it a shot of carb cleaner. No, that's not fixing it. That's toggling. But the flow has to work for you up here. And the flow has to work in a good enough way that you don't forget where you were at on machine number 1 while you're waiting for parts or what have you. And you're 3 or 4 machines in, all right? For the machines that come in, just need a general service, and the belts are good, the blades are good, the touch-up, everything is working on the deck. It's in and out, and then the wind column for being able to call the customer or deliver it, set up for delivery, that's a win. And that's what the flow needs to be, is whatever works best in your mind to get stuff out. The flow you don't want to get into is looking at everything you have out in the yard and saying, okay, this one is going to be the easiest one to get in and get out. So you start putting the hard ones towards the back of not even starting them yet. And that's the worst thing you can do. In all honesty, if you're going to play that game, you need to take the hardest first. Get them in, get them started, get the parts ordered, and then work the easy ones, just a general service, in and out in between them. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to have irate customers on the ones that need more work. being pushed back. They need their lawnmower too. So how do I know that? Because we've done that before. And we've done it more than once. And we've been burnt a couple of times where a customer didn't want to bring theirs back because we didn't care enough to get their machine in and out. What we try to do at the shop is first in, first out. First in, start until you need parts. Get them ordered. Second one in, start. Third in, and next, and next, and next. The only reason they should still be in the shop is waiting on parts. The other reason that we have them still in the shop is we run into some hurdles and we've contacted the customer and we're waiting on the customer to make up their mind of what direction they want to go. And I've had customers take weeks, and I've cured that of either yay or nay. What do you want me to do today? If you want me to fix it, I'll fix it. If you don't, I'll just put all the parts together on the machine and you can pick it up at your earliest convenience. But you're still going to pay the rate to get to where we're at. So that's something to give thought to. So on that note, leave in the comments how you do it. I'm curious. But in the end, it's getting the machine out to get paid and having it be 100%. Or at least strive for that. Have it so that everything works the way it was supposed to. If you have it on choke, it needs to be on choke. So that your cable hasn't slid, right? Because that happens a lot on the zero turns. On the bigger machines. Is that cable that when you go to full throttle and then you go to start, that's choking it. A lot of times that cable stretches or is pulled through on that screw and you're not actually getting full choke. And you're also not actually getting full throttle when it locks into the throttle position. Actually, you have to go up farther into the choke to get full throttle. But if you fix that so that you put the choke on and then move the handle all the way up to where the choke is so that you can see that the choke is on and you have a choke is on the dash. Tighten the screw down there. So on that note, you guys have a great Wednesday. And we'll see you here back bright and early tomorrow morning for the weekday again on Thursday. Thanks so much for watching the videos and putting up with me.